Yeah. Hey. Well, yeah. Goonies never say die. You know what time it is. We got horror suspense. Listen, Kevin Trav digging in the bin. Dirty Dancing and Encino Man. You never know what you'll find in Uncle Doug's bin. What's in the bin? Yeah, Uncle Doug's bin. He's got all these flicks from way back when. Marty McFly and the DeLorean. Gotta love the Cage and whatever he's in. Face off Snake Guys, you know it's a win. What's in the bin? Yeah, Uncle Doug's bin. What's in the bin? Yeah, Uncle Doug's bin. What's in the bin? Yeah, Uncle Doug's bin. What's in the bin? Yeah, let's begin.
Welcome to Uncle Doug's DVD Bin, the podcast where we take your favorite movies, give you some facts, tell you the plot in an hour, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, and there might even be a few jokes along the way. I'm your host, Kevin.
And I'm your other, more handsome host, Travis.
Oh, you're just going to qualify it right out of the gate. Like, you do look nice, Travis. You have trimmed your beard up.
Thanks.
You know.
Yeah, trimmed it up a little bit there. Yeah, absolutely. Wearing a hat tonight because my hair didn't look too good, but I think it's a good-looking hat.
It is. It's a nice hat, man. It really suits you. It really suits you. You're looking good. I'm really excited to be back with you, man. I was going to say, canon-wise, we're releasing these bi-weekly, as episodes, but we record them kind of when we get time to do it, and we release it as a season. So it's been a little while since we've recorded anything.
That's true. Yeah, people hearing this, it's been probably 2.5 years since we recorded this episode, and a lot of things have been going on in the world. A lot of things have changed, but I got to tell you, man, digging through Uncle Doug's DVD bin never gets stale. It's always a good time.
There's so much good stuff in there. I actually pulled out the movie that we're going to do tonight or today or midday, mid-afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. Well, this is exactly the same time that we recorded it, which is The Crow, Travis.
Right. Yeah, which it was on the title of the episode, so hopefully people aren't surprised to hear you say that. But I was surprised when you drew it out of the bin, because that would make two 1994 movies in a row. What in tarnation's going on? What is this, 1994 all of a sudden?
Well, if people hop over and check out your other amazing Polykill podcast, they'll know that you did a little deep dive into the year 1994 about the time we were recording some of these episodes. So just a little teaser to check out all the goodness over there. But I will say, when we pulled this one out, I was surprised that Uncle Doug had this in his bin, in his collection, because it just doesn't have Uncle Doug energy on it. It's got like Hot Topic, Spencer's Gifts, like mid-90s painted fingernails energy. And so I wanted to ask Uncle Doug about it. He doesn't have a phone. I mean, he obviously doesn't have a phone, right?
Well, of course, no.
So I had to drive over to his house and knocked on the door. He answered with a shotgun like he always does. And he was like, oh, come on in, And I asked him, I said, Uncle Doug, you had this Crow DVD, and it just didn't seem like your kind of movie. I don't really understand why you had this. And he's like, I didn't have a Crow movie. What are you talking about, a bear crow? And I said, no, and I started describing it. Guy, white makeup, trench coat. And he goes, oh, I remember that. I was so mad. I was like, what do you mean, Uncle Doug? What are you upset about? And he said, well, I thought I was buying the wrestler Sting's highlight reel. And turned out it was some stupid rainy movie.
Stupid rainy movie. That's, Doug, to describe it that way means he did watch the whole thing.
He did.
Still. He sat through it, but he was angry the whole time. Like, when does Sting show up? Should be any time now.
I was hoping I was hoping there would be like a tag team match, the Crow and Sting, would just face off against all the bad guys, but it didn't. It never manifested. I will say, man, this movie is nostalgia for me. Like, I definitely, I didn't see it when it came out because I would have been probably a little bit too young for the rated R rating to convince my mom to take me. So I probably caught it on video a few years later. And man, like in my late gothy, like teens, early 20s. Oh man, this movie was my jam.
So you're telling me this movie became your jam at least 7 years after it was relevant? That's pretty cool.
That's how I live my life.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, everything was because the NWO phase, the whole reason that Doug was drawn to it was because that was a late 90s thing. So maybe you caught it around then.
Yeah.
Wearing makeup and dark clothes and being moody. It was definitely a thing in the 90s, but it still exists today. People are still just running around pouting with their makeup on, and it's fine.
No, because of the Crow. I mean, that's really what inspired him. I'll tell you, that whole NWO phase of wrestling, man, when Hulk Hogan turned heel, broke my heart, Trav. Broke my little beating heart. I didn't know what to do for days. I was just distraught, throwing myself. I wanted a crow so I could take vengeance on Hulk Hogan. That's what I really wanted.
Right, man. Imagine that if you did turn into a crow, you'd have to take vengeance on R.I.P. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, all those guys that were out there that night getting trash thrown at them for switching sides to the NWO. Oof. My gosh, but. I mean, the Crow and the NWO, I lump it together. It's all of that stuff. But, it's funny. This was a big deal for you back in the day. I actually never watched the Crow. So you and Doug both had seen it, and I had not. And the reason is because of the very, infamous reality of the film's making, which was that the lead actor was fatally killed during the production of it. And when I found that out, I was like, you know what? I just don't know if I want to see it. I just don't know. I kind of stayed away from it because it had that sort of that negative vibe attached to it. I didn't think I could watch it and enjoy it and ever stop thinking about the fate of Brandon Lee.
Yeah, it's and it's an absolutely okay. So we were kind of being fun and lighthearted. Now we're just going to get really depressing for everybody listening. We'll cover that all at once.
Me. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Trev. So we'll I do want to mention a couple of things as we discuss the plot, which we'll get to in a little bit. There is a lot of violence and discussion of like sexual assault because it happens in the movie. It's part of the plot. So if that's something that wouldn't be great for you to listen to, definitely just I don't want to say stop listening to us. Just turn the volume down and let it keep playing so that we at least get credit for you having gone all the way through the episode. But also, you just go, oh my God, how there are so many safety checks on a film set that how could it possibly happen that a gun ended up with a live round in it? Well, what had happened was they were using a revolver and they had put dummy rounds in it to make it look like there were real bullets in there. Well, they, I guess, sent the weapons master home, props master home for the day, and they didn't realize that one of those dummy rounds had gotten lodged into the barrel, and then they loaded blanks in there, and blanks will explode. I mean, that's what they're designed to do. They'll explode to make it look like there's, fire. And sure enough, that blank came around, exploded. That bullet was in the that dummy was still stuck in the barrel, and it shot him and killed him. And you think okay, surely that would never happen again, but it just literally happened again with Alec Baldwin on the set of that film.
It's insane stuff, and you think about all those safety checks and all those people, and surely they're careful and all those things, but I mean, it does sound like on top of the safety checks and everything else, it was kind of an incredible fluke. It was just an incredible, just low percentage thing to have ever happened. It's just terribly tragic, but in the end, we're left with The Crow, the movie, and it has its own violence and its own darkness within. And you mentioned some of the things, but we're not going to joke about the sexual assault and all that stuff. No. But it is very critical to the plot. But I was taken aback by how much of that is the focus of the movie. Yeah. I didn't I knew it was in there, but I didn't realize that's kind of the corner. That's the reason the movie takes place.
Yeah, and the flashback. It's geez, do we have to do this in flashback again? I mean, I do love this movie. I get, but as a younger person watching it, the gravity of all the violence and all that sort of stuff didn't really stick with me. Just he's punching people, cool. But I mean, there's some crazy stuff in that. So we kind of mentioned that you had been on your 1994 roll. So I will say that this one was released on May 11th of 1994 and was based on a comic book series, which is, people love that comic book series, and it's a pretty sought after series to collect. And it was created by a guy named James O'Barr, and it features production that was definitely heavy on style and mood. We kind of were joking about the Spencer's Gifts and Hot Topic situation. But it definitely matches the somber tone of the comic book. And the film was directed by Alex Proyas and written by David Sho and John Shirley. As we mentioned, it starred the late great Brandon Lee. Oh man, one of my favorite actors, Ernie Hudson. Oh, man, I love Ernie. And Michael Wincott was in this as well. He plays that gravelly voiced Southern villain feller that we were both sort of you know what? He's kind of fun. He's kind of fun. I like him.
I liked him. Yeah, I liked him as a villain. We can get into that later, but it was largely the voice and the look. I mean, the whole thing. He's a good villain, I'll admit. Yes. I also learned that Alex Proyas, if that's how you pronounce it, directed iRobot, I believe.
Oh, no
Is
kidding.
that correct?
The
think
Will
so.
Smith,
Yeah.
Isaac Asimov adaptation?
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
I should be more sure on a podcast about the movie.
It is.
I should get my facts straight.
I've actually read the book, iRobot, and it literally has nothing to do with. I mean, like some of the themes are sort of loosely connected, but like the plot is just nowhere near. They just were like, hey, let's use this name from this book. So, thank you, Trav, for your IMD
You're welcome.
sleuthing.
You know me, bringing all the facts about the movies to the podcast.
You really are. You know what else you bring? You know what else? Some pretty killer reviews.
I bring those reviews. So we've scraped the mostly the Letterboxd, and I'll just be honest with you guys. It's probably always going to be Letterboxd from here on out. IMDb doesn't do a good job of curating those for me. Letterboxd, it's just easy. Okay, so let's just take that for what it is. But we got some people who love it, and I tell you, people who love this movie very long-winded about it, and much like our pal Kevin over here.
Yeah, I
Couldn't
was
stop
going to
talking
say
about
that
it.
was kind of passive aggressive at me, Trav. You're like, Kevin, you've been talking a lot, buddy, about The Crow. That's right, because I like it. I was so excited for us to like stream and watch this movie together, and it was special. It was special to me, Travis. I want you to know that.
It was a great moment for me as well. I was exposed to a lot of violence and unsettling things through this. But these other folks were too, and they ended up loving it. Our first 5-star here from Jason Cortez. And this was from just the other day. He says, I know this movie pretty darn well because watching it nonstop growing up, but it's just been too long. And since I've done a proper rewatch, I wasn't sure how it would hold up. It's been that long. This guy talks a lot about how long it's been. It's been a long time. And then he says, and wowie wow, it more than holds up. Proyas had crystal clear vision of what this should be, and little did he or any of us know how that vision would transcend eras. Even the music transcends, which is pretty astonishing. He put 2 is's in there. He got him stuttering. He was so excited. He goes on to say, great performances all around, but man, Lee is scary good and just makes his tragedy all the more sadder. Yeah, I didn't think I could love this flick more, but alas.
Man, that soundtrack.
Jason's full of emotion. Yeah, he sounds like you wrote this, actually. You've said a lot of these same things. So yeah, that was Jason. Then we got Harry Johnson. Harry Johnson.
Hold on a
comes in
minute.
swinging.
Hold on a minute, Trav. Did you make that name up?
That's got to be his real name. I mean, they don't let you on Letterboxd with a fake
With
name.
silly
Come on.
fake names.
With a silly fake name like Harry Johnson, spelled appropriately.
Yeah, no.
Nothing weird about it.
Yeah, not like the adjective. It's spelled like the name, like Harold.
For sure. He comes out swinging with a 5-star too, and you can tell he's a little defensive out of the gate. He's like, don't get me wrong, this film is not good. It thinks it's so much cooler than it is, and most of the effects have aged horribly.
Ooh, yeah.
However, I can't help but love this movie. The goofy sound effects, the over-the-top one-liners, the action. This is easily my favorite film in terms of atmosphere. I loved the gothic look to everything, and Brandon's costume makeup was incredible. Definitely got my Halloween costume this year. Definitely my go-to guilty pleasure film. So that one starts off a little negative, but brings it home.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you make some good It is a little bit it's as cheesy as a cheese sandwich. I mean, there's a lot of that in there, but God, there's something about it. You're like, man, I really do. And even and I'm I don't want to criticize Brandon Lee's performance, but I mean, it's you can tell he's still a green actor growing into his skills and his abilities, and some of the stuff he does is like kind of hammy and goofy, but man, overall it just works. Like it works with what was it you said, Travis? That it was like the darkest Looney Tunes you'd ever seen.
Yeah. It was like an R-rated version of The Mask or something. It was dark Looney Tunes.
That was pretty good.
There's some of that where you just expect his eyes to pop out of his head and something to go grrr or something. You're just expecting some sound effects sometimes. But that was another guy that was high on it. He said it's not good though. But anyway, we got people that are meh on it. And these folks, I'll always say, they're harder to find, but I think they're going to give you a real take, these 3-star folks. He says, a movie that's hard to watch without constantly wondering what could have been, given its glaring need to work around its tragically absent star. Equally as hard not to feel a chill sweep across part of your nervous system every time a character points a gun at Brandon Lee, which happens roughly every 5 minutes. The whole experience of watching a man pretending to be a resurrected Avenger in the very film that led to his own death is beyond morbid in its meta-textual implications. It's also a movie where after a corpse crashes into the hood of a cop car, the cop in question yells, "What the crap?" And that is my favorite part of the film. But also, this guy, I mean, You can tell he has a good eye for when to use the term metatextual implications.
I was
and I
looking
appreciate
at that. I don't even know what that means. Travis, you have a PhD and you're super smart. Can you explain that to me?
I think it's got big textual implications. You know,
that was a
Which
pickup.
word was it meta? Was meta getting you too? I guess it's big, maybe.
No, that was a pickup line I used to use. I've got big textual implications. It never worked. It never works, by the way, but it works good in a movie review.
You were wearing your face makeup and your Hot Topic pants when you said it too.
My Jinkos. I had a pair of Jinkos. I think I probably wore those things like every other day for like 2 years. My mom was like, "You need to do something with those pants, son." I mean, I think she meant wash them, not like continue to wear them without washing them.
I just hope its crow phase passes one of these days. It is 2004 after all.
Oh my god, we've already birdwalked so much, but I'm going to tell this story anyway, because my mom actually is probably going to listen to this podcast. But so I remember it was my 9th grade photo. I was into that phase where you had all the necklaces, not like a Mr. T phase, but I had like edgy necklaces with little fake like razor blades and the big balls and like puka shell. I had like 6 necklaces, and my mom's like, you don't need to wear those today because it's class picture day and you're gonna look like an idiot. I was like, no, Mom, I'm wearing my cool necklaces. You can't talk me out of it. And she's like, well, one day, 20 years from now, you're gonna look at that picture and you're gonna think, boy, I sure did look dumb. Well, you know what, Travis? I found my yearbook and I pulled that picture up and I still look cool as shit. I still look so cool. Yeah, I definitely think I look cool, man.
I did not expect that to end that way. Okay, all right.
So I'm just saying, maybe some of the fashion that we had in the 90s was okay. I thought I looked pretty cool, and I still think I look pretty cool.
All right. Well, you heard that, Kevin's mom. You were wrong. So, oh no. Oh my. All right. Well, let's get to some folks that didn't like the movie. We got one from Azamino8, which again has to be their real Christian name because they don't let fake ones in here. Half star back in 2019. This is before COVID, before people were just sour in general. This is the most insufferable movie I've seen in a long time. It wasn't even enjoyable in a campy way. I genuinely hated every single aspect of this edgy, overstyled, cringe-inducing movie. It's a shame that this was Brandon Lee's final contribution to cinema. The Crow making a reference to the effing Raven was unbelievably pretentious.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. I do agree that then it came tapping at my chamber door. That little bit was pretty rough. That was pretty cheesy. Yeah, but you know what, man?
That was a cheese sandwich without bread. That was a rough.
It was. Rough. It was just 3 pieces of cheese. That's what it was.
A cheese double down. Up next, we got our last one here. Just a little 1-star from Chris A. This was April of 2020. He says he keeps it concise. Total garbage. Absolutely no surprises after the first 5 minutes. I hate the 90s so much.
So what you're telling me is Chris A. would not have appreciated all the necklaces that I have in my school picture.
No. He would take one look at that picture and just stab the yearbook.
So basically, he was on Team Kevin's mom. Is the situation
that review might have actually been your mom?
Chris A. is her pseudonym. So I think that's right. Probably it. So. Well, Travis, this movie starts with you get this dark cityscape, right? And we know this is Detroit. It's set in Detroit, and there's possibly some of the worst fire effects ever committed to film. So you see that early on because we're in the middle of Devil's Night, and you get some voiceover from a little girl. Can't remember what her name is. Shelly. No, Shelly's the wife.
Sarah.
Sarah. So we get some voiceover for her, and she sort of sets up that when something real bad happens, that a crow can bring a soul back to get some revenge. And you're getting this sort of zoom in on this periscope sort of window a la, think about, Doctor Strange's Sanctum, that kind of circular window, probably shot in the same place. Even if it wasn't, I'm going to say
Honestly,
it is.
You're probably right, yeah.
And so we get zoomed in and we see first, again, somebody who, whenever I see him in a movie, instantly makes me think about Ghostbusters and how much I love Ghostbusters, but it's Ernie Hudson. Now, we already know the setup is something bad has happened here.
We know it's something bad has happened here. Also, I did want to comment, that fiery special effects looked like a 2007 video game, which is to say they were ahead of their time. A lot of people like to dunk on that, but honestly, a little ahead of its time. But Ernie Hudson there at the scene, he's Sergeant Albrecht. And we have a woman there. This is going to be Shelley Webster, who has been beaten, sexually assaulted, raped, and her fiance, played by Brandon Lee, a local musician, real, I'm going to say grunge lord. I don't know if that's a thing you can say about anybody, but he's got long hair. He looks real cool. Looks like he'd be a good front man.
Yeah.
But he's a guitarist. Eric Draven. Wonder why that name. Why that name? Why that name?
That's
Why
weird.
Draven?
It sounds like raven, which is often confused with a crow. That's so weird that would. It's probably a coincidence, though. Totally coincidental.
Probably. Yeah, probably complete coincidence. But that's our guy Brandon Lee, and he has just been straight up murdered.
Yep.
He's been murdered there, and so he's been stabbed, been shot, and got thrown out the apartment down to the street below, smash, splat.
He got like the Rasputin treatment, stabbed, shot, and thrown out a window. Jeez Louise.
He got Rasputin. That's right. And what's tragic? Well, even more tragic than just a couple that's been completely murdered. The couple were planning their wedding for the next day, Halloween. They were leaning into their goth life a little bit already as a couple. Early on, they were really leaning into that. They were going to tie the knot on the Devil's Night. Just sad all the way around.
What if this was like a prequel to like Corpse Bride? And they actually had a happy ending in the afterlife. I mean, there's technically sort of a happy ending in this, but I like to think, maybe that's where it was going. But that's just my own fan fiction I wrote about The Crow just now. So
I liked it.
Thanks, man. So we get introduced to Shelley's character. She is being taken to the hospital, and Sarah is talking to Ernie Hudson's character. He's going to just be Ernie Hudson to me. I can't see him as anybody other than Winston Zeddemore or Ernie Hudson. So it's just that's the way it's going to go. So we kind of find out that she's probably not going to make it, but we kind of get an idea of what Sarah's relationship. She was sort of like a surrogate little sister, and so that kind of becomes relevant later, I'd say. So we see all this pretty horrible stuff happening. So then we get a flash forward a year later, and we see a bird here. Now what kind of bird do you think this is, Trav?
I mean, I'm leaning hard into the crow because, again, I did read the title of the episode, but we see that crow flying over this dark, rainy landscape of Detroit, and it lands on a headstone of who? Of course, Eric Draven, the man himself, named almost after a bird very similar to a crow. And it starts tapping on the stone with its beak. And
you can see
what's it doing there?
On the tombstone that they've put like bird seed there so that the bird will actually peck on it, which I thought was a fun little thing that you can catch there. And he's tapping on the gravestone, this crow is, and that's when Eric Draven's character, true to the voiceover we've heard earlier, comes back to life out of the muck. It's pouring rain. It rains most of this whole movie, right? It's just this muck, and he's clawing his way out, and he's confused. He doesn't know where he's at because, I mean, he's been dead for a year. I mean, that's a long time to be dead for anybody, right? And so he gets up and he decides the only thing he can think about is, to go home, right? Because that's what everybody's going to do. When you're confused, you just want to go home and sleep in your own bed, right, Trav?
I mean, that's what I want to do. And so he's... there's not really like no one's really going to explain to you what's going on here. The best guess is bird magic. It's bird magic that happened here. A crow has shown up, and it's awakened Eric from the grave, and he busts out. He goes back home because he wants to see what happened. Is maybe Shelley's still alive? He doesn't know. He died. He got flown out of the window. He has no idea.
Yeah.
But he gets back to the apartment, and surprise, it's in shambles.
Yeah.
No one straightened it up. There was the maid didn't come by and put fresh towels in. It's still in the ruins that it was when he left.
It's like that house in the neighborhood. All the kids like scurry by. They're like, that place is haunted. That's where old man Withers died, And so this is sort of an old man Withers situation, except even sadder. And so he has flashbacks, so he knows what happens. He sees flashbacks of the people who did this thing, this terrible thing, and he runs and he does this like super epic swing out of the broken window, and he grabs glass and it cuts his hands. And then we, as the audience, as well as Eric Draven, see his hands heal. So we get the idea that he's if not invincible, he's got Wolverine healing factor as a zombie, which is pretty cool. And he paints his face in Sting fashion, or maybe Sting was painting his face in Crow fashion, though I wouldn't say that to Sting's face, that he ripped off the Crow.
No.
But he does this sort of Harlequin face paint move to kind of give himself, a mask, a way to conceal who he is, I guess. I guess it's and also it's just more dramatic, right?
I mean, it just looks super duper cool. Let's just admit it. I mean, his character doesn't look nearly as awesome if he doesn't look a little bit like a Joker that had a very limited palate. And he gets those Glasgow lines. He gets that fake smile, which also adds to some of the mischief that he's able to cause. But back to those attackers, like he's flashing those memories back through his head. And it's very important to remember that he is recalling specifically who these folks are, because he's about to go track them down bounty hunter style. He's going after these guys to get some vengeance back for what they did to him, of course, but mostly his wife.
It's that time-honored tale of bird magic murder mystery. That's where we're going with this. So he tracks down Tintin first, which is the knife-wielding guy that did some of the murderings and the other things. And they have a pretty good little fight scene. I really like the choreography of this. In general, like the fight choreography in this is pretty fun, especially when they're doing, the gun stuff. Obviously, there's some problems there, but the hand-to-hand stuff looks really, really good. It's very like down and dirty, throwing punches, good blocks and stuff. And again, we're talking about Bruce Lee's son here, so surely he's grown up around martial arts and has a pretty good eye for that sort of thing. So they have a pretty good fight, and Tintin is dispatched. He does I think it's what's the car guy's name? Tin Eagle. T-Bird, that's what it is. Tin Eagle.
Yeah,
I had Tin Eagle.
I told you I paid attention.
There's a lot of birds in this. You did a good job, Travis. I appreciate you. Says that he stabbed Tintin in all of his vital organs in alphabetical order. How he knew that, I don't know, but let's just say that
it's never said that. I mean, that is brought up like 30 minutes later in the movie. The guy's like reflecting on it. It's like, yeah, stab Tintin, every vital organ, in alphabetical order. It's like, well, we actually watched him stab him, and he never once went through the alphabet or anything like that. So I feel like that's just kind of a fairy tale boogeyman kind of ordeal. But one thing about each of these sub-villains, I guess we'll call them, folks like Tintin, they each have, because it's based on a comic book, I guess, they each have their own little shtick. So his is knives, and a guy later is an arsonist, and then one of my favorite characters later is just an idiot. But that's the fun of some of these fights. Each one is a little bit different, given that most of the people that die in this movie get thrown out of a window. But like this one involved a lot of knives, and it was you're right, it was a fun watch. I like this one.
And before he dispatches Tintin, he does like a Vulcan mind meld and sees memories of his possessions being taken to a local pawn shop. So he takes Tintin out and he decides to go visit this pawn shop. Now he gets there and he does some pretty scary stuff. He walks up, he's got the mask, the face paint on. He headbutts a glass door, like just I don't know, like you can see, okay, punch it, maybe kick it. Nope, just headbutts the glass door, walks through, and does some light torture to Gideon, the pawn shop owner.
Yeah, and poor Gideon. I mean, he's screaming, and maybe you have to cuckoo this one out, but he's begging he's like, hit on me over and over again, and it's I don't know if it's an explanation, if he's just like, shucks, gosh dang, I'm about to get murdered, but he chooses some weird phrasing there, but needless to say, that's not exactly what happens. He's tortured quite a bit, and it's sort of rubbed in his face that all of these trinkets that are brought back to his pawn shop are probably things that belonged to once living people that are now dead, because these bad guys keep exchanging all of these belongings for cash, and so to torture him, he's dousing the place in gasoline, got the counters doused in gasoline, loads a shotgun, and at this is the thing about Gideon. He'll come up again later. He does himself no favors in any predicament that he's in. He could have just let bygones be bygones, but he had to antagonize old Brandon Lee a little bit, who turns around and fires a shotgun into the place where he's just doused in gasoline. And as you would expect, because we all know how this works, the one shot with the shotgun blows up the entire apartment block and 7 other buildings around it. Gideon manages to get out but just a little bit of fire on his pant leg, so he survives. But it was cheesy, to say the least.
Oh man, and the one-liner, you forgot the one-liner. Do I smell gas? And then everything blows up. It's so bad.
It's like, Gideon, did you not smell the gas? Like, what were you doing?
And Gideon does that thing, like, I know it's like in every action movie where like he thinks the either good or bad guy's gonna leave him alone, so he starts like talking junk, and then you're like, what are you doing, man? What do you tuck your tail and you run? What is but people, I know people like that. I'm that person. Like, if I think you have done me wrong, I'm gonna keep talking crap until you blow up my pawn shop after shooting a shotgun barrel full of rings at me. It's just how I am. So Eric Draven uses Gideon to get information to find Fun Boy. God, out of all of them, Fun Boy, like it just, his name is like greasy pennies in my mouth. Which is
he does love to have fun, though.
He does like to have, if that's what you call fun. Yes, he does like to have it. So, played by Michael Massey, and we've met the whole crew earlier, and we find out that Sarah's mother is dating Fun Boy. I just even just saying his stupid name, which is her mom's name is Darla, and so they've retired to Fun Boy's apartment upstairs in this bar that Darla works out. And Eric sort of pops in the window, very Looney Tunes style, and it has this sort of mocking scene with Fun Boy, where Fun Boy keeps trying to shoot him, and it obviously doesn't kill him because he's the Crow, man. I mean, he's if not immortal, he can definitely take a lot of punishment. So he shoots Fun Boy in the thigh, and Fun Boy sort of passes out from the pain, and Eric confronts Darla in the bathroom. He kind of holds her up to the mirror to show her herself, and he has a very, very cheesy line about like mother being the word of God to children or something like that. And then
very confusing. Yes.
Yeah, very confusing. But I mean, again, if a zombie crow man was holding me up in the mirror and I was seeing my strung out self, and he like squeezes my arm, and the morphine that I'd been injecting just like oozes down my arm, I'm you know what? I'm gonna get back on the path of right. I'm gonna get back on the wagon. I'm gonna start going to church again. I'm gonna vacuum my car out. Like, I'm gonna do all the things I gotta do to get my life in order.
Going to go to church and then vacuum my car out. Of all of the scenes in this movie, if I were to close my eyes and think about it, the scene of the morphine dripping out of her arm wound is the one that's going to stick with me the longest. That was the scene where I was like, ugh.
That's not true, Travis. Now, look, there's a lot of violence that happens to people in this movie, but the only time I saw Travis cringe is there's a scene where where T-Bird and his crew are smashing up arcade machines, like video games and pinball machines, and Travis he was just so upset. And I was like, yeah, I should have warned him. I didn't know that was a thing I needed to warn him about, but I should have.
It's like, I don't care if this little orphaned girl ever finds a future. I cannot believe they destroyed all of those delicate machines that just wanted to bring fun to the world.
That's all they wanted. So I guess you can imagine Darla takes off running. She does try to get her life together, and we kind of see her in a scene later, sort of trying to make amends with her daughter. And Fun Boy gets dispatched in a I think he stabs him with a needle and injects him with an overdose, which
That's
seems
right.
like kind of a nice way to kill him, to be honest. But who am I to criticize the Crow? So meanwhile, Ernie Hudson's character has been investigating the deaths of all these criminals around the city, and we get there's this really stupid, unnecessary side plot of how Ernie Hudson, I guess, was a detective and he got busted down to beat cop. It's I hate the detective he just doesn't need to be there. There's just a lot with that whole stuff that just doesn't need to happen.
those scenes look like they were in a different comedy movie, and then they were just cut in to this movie when it was appropriate to have a cop part. Like the levity that Ernie Hudson has in all of his scenes does not match anything else that happens in the movie.
We have our pal Ernie Hudson who comes up to, I guess I did miss this part, didn't I? When the pawn shop explodes, Ernie Hudson meets up with the Crow. He was eating a hot dog up the street because that's what you're doing in Detroit when a pawn shop explodes. And Eric asks him, or Draven asks him about, like, what had happened or something along those lines. So we get the feeling that they're going to kind of meet up later. So later at Ernie Hudson's apartment, or Detective Albrecht's apartment, Eric Draven does his magic Vulcan mind meld and finds out what happened to Shelley. And it turns out that she had been in the hospital for like 30 hours and just like agonizing, horrible pain. And he sucks all that into himself, and he's like carrying around not only his grief but the pain of like his deceased fiance, which is that's a pretty heavy burden for anybody, even if you are dead.
Yeah, even though it is like third-hand pain, like it's pain that Ernie Hudson had to look at, and then he had that, and then he takes it from Ernie Hudson. I don't know how pain works, but he finds a way to weaponize his wife's pain through Ernie Hudson's inner visions or something like that, which kind of paints Ernie Hudson as a very caring character. He was with her, and so he's very familiar with Shelley. Yet back in his office, he's just drawing mustaches on all the evidence. So I mean, he's not necessarily a great cop, but he is a fun character to have on screen for sure.
Definitely. Trev is mentioning a scene where Ernie Hudson's investigating the death of Eric Draven and Shelley, and he thinks that this person is the Crow, so he takes just literally evidence, which is a picture that was in the file, and starts drawing the Crow makeup on Eric Draven. You're like, what are you doing? This is how chain of custody gets messed up and people get off on technicalities. So Gideon, the pawn shop owner, ends up visiting Top Dollar, which is Michael Wincott's character. Remember, gravelly Southern voice. He's like, if the other guys are like the mini bosses, he's like the level boss, or he's the big bad in there, and he's the leader of all the gangs in Detroit. And so Gideon warns him about Draven, and Top Dollar, in very Top Dollar fashion, just kills him, just kills Gideon, just stabs him. Oh my gosh, I forgot my favorite part about Top Dollar is that he has a sword cabinet. A cabinet in his secret lair just full of sword. Like, I always think, what are all these super villains and these mobsters doing with all their money that's worthwhile? Well, let me tell you, my friend, Top Dollar is top when it comes to spending that dollar by building himself a sword cabinet.
Yeah, which is funny because everyone else in his gang is guns, to the point that there's a whole scene of them just kind of is like showing their day-to-day where they're just at a table just loading guns and unloading guns. But he... not a gun guy at all. He's very much a sword master, man. And that freaking sword cabinet, my God, I've been doodling my own concept for a sword cabinet most of the time you've been talking. Like, I can't wait to get it.
I'm so in. And there's a couple of scenes that we missed that they introduce Top Dollar's character. He's got this weird relationship with his either like half sister character, and they've killed some woman that they were having a menage a trois with, and then the sister like cuts out the eyeballs and they burn them in a goblet, which makes total sense if you're an evil gang leader in Detroit. So we kind of got the idea that he's a little unhinged, but he's the boss of bosses, so people kind of bow and scrape and that sort of thing. So
poor Gideon's in there, and he tells him all about what happened to his thing, and he's trying to explain to Top Dollar, like, listen, there's a crazy bird man running around, and he threatened me, and he burned up my shop. And Top Dollar's like, that sounds like a load of crap. Come on, a bird man. It looks like Sting from WCW. And he's like, no, I mean NWO. No, it was the whole thing. But the thing is, he gets threatened pretty good, and he's got the sword out, he's got the cabinet open, he's got the swords out, and Gideon doesn't do himself any favors. And there's at one point where it looks like Top Dollar is going to spare him. He's just going to put it away. He's like, all right, I've done enough. I'm just going to walk away. But Gideon keeps running that mouth like he always does. And then one of the coolest scenes, Top Dollar turns around with the sword and just thrusts it through his neck. Doesn't kill him immediately. He's a little disappointed by that, and so does violate his own credo and pulls out a gun for a second and finishes Gideon off. But I swear, man, that Gideon, he's just threatening everyone when he doesn't have the upper hand. I mean, come on.
Do you think Gideon would have survived if he had just been like, yes, sir, and like just shut up? Do you think he would have survived? I don't think he would have,
I don't know.
Maybe.
It did kind of feel like he put Top Dollar over the edge by being obnoxious, but who knows? You're right.
I was not upset
I don't know what,
when Gideon was dispatched. I just want you to know that.
He wouldn't stop talking, you're right. But I do wonder what Top Dollar had to gain by getting rid of him to begin with, other than just the amusement of killing somebody else. He seems to be really into murder, this Top Dollar.
I don't know how he makes any money. Like, all the people he interacts with, he's either like burn down the city so we make money or stab this person so I make money. It's like, I don't know what your business model is. It's like, it's like those people selling those tights, the really expensive Lulus, whatever those tights are called. It's like, it's all a pyramid scheme, but somehow his pyramid is just built on a foundation of murder.
Yeah, maybe it's like a video game, and whenever someone dies in this universe, they just immediately drop loot, and he just runs around and picks it up.
I think you've cracked the case, man. Well, either way, we know that Top Dollar is aware that there's a bird magic man running around, and that we know that 1010 and Fun Boy, hopefully that's the last time I have to say Fun Boy, nope, I said it again, is dead. So T-Bird and Skank are trying to carry on the tradition of really just destroying Detroit on Devil's Night, which is the night before Halloween. So they stop at a convenience store for smokes and road beers, and Skank, who's Travis's favorite character, goes in the store. It looks like what he's grabbing is anything but beers and cigarettes. It's like Slim Jims and like pretzels, and I think he got like a vase. There was a vase in there that he picked up, or a vase maybe. I don't know if he's fancy.
I think I saw him pick up just a pack of firecrackers. Like he just for a little fun, which seems like a Skank thing to do. I mean, if you know this character, he has sort of a toothless jambalaya kind of feel to him. He's like, that old man got that, like a boomhauer. And I mean, he's a bad man. He did some bad things. But he is my favorite on-screen bad guy because he's so stupid, and I feel like a lot of movies will have a stupid character, but it never pays off. They're never that stupid. But almost immediately after you're introduced to like Skank in a real way where he's able to talk to the camera a little bit, within like 5 seconds, he just walks out in the street and gets hit by a car. And it's like, that's exactly what I wanted to happen, and it did happen. Of course, he survives getting hit by the car and actually steals it after he gets hit by it and speeds off.
He does. He steals the car because our boy, Bird Magic Man, has hidden, or the Crow, as you might call him, has hidden in the back of T-Bird's very nice T-Bird, and has kidnapped T-Bird, telling him to drive. And there's a kind of a car chase that happens here. Eric Draven, or the Crow, is telling T-Bird to drive faster and faster and faster. And we kind of get the idea that, like, hey, he's going to cause an accident. And, the Crow, he got to worry about, he's basically immortal. So no problem, right? And so they go by a police car, and they decided, you know what, this is a great time to throw in some slapstick. So the police car starts chasing, so the cop spills coffee on himself because, why not? You need a little slapstick in the Crow. And so there's a little car chase that happens here. And anyway. And that's
where you get your the cop saying, now what in the crap?
What the crap? Which is what I would say.
As cops do. Yeah, exactly.
So there's a car accident between Skank, who runs his car in front of the police car, and somehow he manages to crawl out. And so that gives our boy Bird Magic, the Crow Man, the ability to get away with T-Bird, which he then basically sets T-Bird on fire and drives him into the harbor, and then takes time to and he's done this earlier with blood, and I want to applaud Eric Draven's arts and crafts skills, because I know that I could not outline a Crow outline with a bottle of lighter fluid if I tried, but somehow he manages to do it and do it perfectly and set it on fire, and it just looks great. So there's this big burning crow on the pavement where T-Bird has now been dispatched.
Yeah, a couple things there. One, during the watch, you called out a Yugo perfectly. Yes. I mean, a poorly lit scene with cars getting crashed and airbag deployments, and Kev's like, I think that's a Yugo.
That was my
Nailed
biggest
it.
excitement of it. And I was like, I kept going back, is that a Ford Fiesta? Is that a Yugo? And then your boy Skank gives me personally, Kevin, a clue, because I want to know if it was a Yugo. He goes, these darn foreign cars. I was like, it's a Yugo. It's gotta be. And then and then after he wrecks it, there's a scene where he just falls out the door for no reason, and you see the Yugo emblem. I was just so Trav is as equally disturbed as you were by the pinball machines being destroyed. I was equally delighted by the fact that there's a Yugo in this movie.
I was actually very happy for you. I know nothing about cars, so when someone else gets one right, I'm like, oh my, look at this wizard. But no, speaking of this arts and crafts thing, I was wondering, like, maybe off scene, because we're not seeing Eric Draven in every single scene that he's in. He just shows up places because he's he's the boogeyman to these bad guys. I wonder if there's periods of time where we're not seeing him, where he's practicing drawing a crow and he's like, oh dang it, okay, I'll try again. I'll try it again. Oh dang it, that wing was too short on that side, dang it. But it takes practice. You don't just come out drawing crows like that just because of bird magic.
Yeah.
It's skill.
Well, and you got to remember too, this movie happens over the course of basically 2 days, basically 2 days, And
That's
so
right,
he packs a lot into 2 days. I mean, he's got rooftop jam sessions that he's participating in, arts and crafts, and murder stabbing. I mean, he's a busy guy.
I mean, it's not daylight nor dry for the entire movie, so it's compact.
Well, Sarah goes, and there's a little brief scene or brief interlude that we kind of alluded to, where Darla and her daughter Sarah kind of reconnect a little bit over some eggs and bacon. So that's nice to see. She's kind of got herself right. And then Sarah goes to Eric's apartment because she's like, I know it's him. I know that I ran into him on the street because he said the thing that's on his record about, it can't rain all the time. And that line pops up a couple of times in the movie. It can't rain all the time. And so she's walking around the apartment, seemingly talking to herself in this, destroyed, haunted, old man. What did I say? Old man Whiskers? Not old man Whiskers.
Yeah.
Old man Withers. Withers. Old man Withers. Yeah, old man Withers sort of style apartment. And Eric finally comes out and he goes, "Yeah, it's me. What's up? How's it going? But we can't be friends anymore because I'm dead, but I like you." So, there's that. So Skank, having escaped this terrible car accident, heads back to Top Dollar's hideout to kind of bring the boss man up to date. And to be perfectly honest, he doesn't do a great job.
No, he just starts, I'm going to say, to put lightly, rambling wildly. He just gets, I mean, he's hopped up on something, just I mean, it's a Looney Tunes moment. Top Dollar still not really buying it. He's still a little skeptical about the whole thing. He's like, I don't know, a bird guy that can draw crows real good? I don't know, man.
Yeah, not too excited about it. But he says, you know what? I'm going to keep Top Dollar nearby because at least I know. Top Dollar decides he's going to keep Skank nearby because he's like, I know somebody's trying to kill my guys, so he'll probably come after this one. So he decides to have a big gangster party where everybody's just sitting around loading and unloading their guns, getting prepared for the big Halloween destroy the city extravaganza that they're going to do. And well, our boy Eric Draven shows up looking for Skank, and what proceeds is a pretty wild gunfight where the Crow is just dispatching baddies left and right. There's some amazingly unbreakable windows that get shot 75 times and never seem to shatter or break. Eventually they do, when sorry to tell you, Travis, your boy Skank gets tossed out the window. Yeah.
I know. And it was still kind of an hilarious way for him to go. To be the comedic relief, he did do some wily facial expressions when he realized he was about to meet his demise, which I definitely appreciated. But this entire scene, when, this whole thing is a great part of the movie. I think it's, I guess you could call it the climax even, when, he walks into the room, he's got that, the light hits him just right. The wind's and he just kind of shows up. He jumps up on the table. He doesn't even use a chair, just kind of forget
not only
chairs,
does he
man.
not use the chair, he pushes the chair over in favor of sitting on the table.
Yeah, then he just starts mocking him. And then, of course, the fight breaks out. And at some point, they unload, and I'm totally guesstimating here, probably 2 million rounds of bullets at him. And he never once flinches. And you'd think, I mean, for me, after like the first, I don't know, 8 or 10, I'm like, well, I don't think he's going down, boys. We might just want to pack it up.
Let's call it a day.
Yeah, maybe we should run. He seems scary. And, now it's making sense. All those other guys have said there's an invincible Birdman running around. This might be legit. But when they push, eventually, the fight goes on and on and on, big firefight. They push a guy through a window, which lands down into a concert. There's been people downstairs enjoying some classic 90s grunge, which might be the worst music in the movie be during this piece. And it's like, man, none of these people heard 2 million bullets get fired upstairs, but I guess not. So we lose Skank here.
Good riddance. I know how you were feeling. I know he's a little comic relief, but I'm glad to see him go. And if you're keeping score, he is at this point the second person to be thrown off the building, so thrown off a building or out of a window. So that's important to keep up with. So because it'll come back later. So spoiler alert. Although if you're listening to this, you're pretty much expecting spoilers. So.
I hope.
At this point, he's killed the last person who had an active participating role in murdering, him and his fiance. So the Crow heads back to Shelley's grave, and at this point, I don't understand why he continues living. Like he thinks he's accomplished his goal, but I guess the Crow knows better. I guess the Crow knows that it was actually Top Dollar who set the whole thing in motion, but we as an audience don't know that yet because Top Dollar has escaped with his weird half sisters that he's in a relationship with. Micah, I think her name's Micah, and his other lieutenant. They've kind of escaped, and they're like, we got to get this Crow guy. Well, Micah's sort of witchy and mystic and has those kind of vibes. So she says, well, I bet that crow that's flying around with him is the source of his magic. So if we get it and kill it, we can take out the Crow. So Eric Draven is headed back to the cemetery, and there's a lot of convergence that happens here by happenstance, just bad luck or good luck, or just lazy screenwriting. I don't know which, but Sarah has gone to the grave of Shelley and has fallen asleep there, and Eric wakes her up and says, hey, you gotta head on home. And Eric at this point is just planning on, laying back in his grave and enjoying death. I mean, he's earned it. He's earned a break. But Top Dollar's lieutenant grabs Sarah and takes her into the church and kind of sets up a little bit of a trap for the Crow because he's angry. He's mad. He's messed up his big night. He's killed off a lot of his associates, so he wants to take out the Crow. Yeah,
and a thing that I want to interject, back up a little bit, because there's a part that we both enjoyed and forgot to mention. Sarah, being this little girl that Eric and Shelley took care of because her mom was trash, she was drinking at a bar earlier in the movie, and she's easily 11, maybe 12 years old, supposed to be a pretty young girl. Clearly drinking it's clearly drinking a beer. She has her hand on it, and it's definitely a beer. She's in a bar. Fast forward to her just passed out at this grave. I mean, all you can think of is this poor little girl. Good Lord, no one's looking after her. But I'm going to say this as a PSA to everyone listening to this, folks. If you see a guy dressed as Sting hugging an 11-year-old drunk girl near a graveyard, you call the cops.
You call the cops. We not only... were amazed that she was drinking a beer. We rewound it a couple of times to make sure that our eyes were like, but I mean, but she was, I guess I could say younger kids do drink alcohol. They shouldn't. At all, but they do, of course. But the fact that she was being served in a bar, which was
definitely in a bar,
definitely just sitting in a bar having a beer like a grown up, was one of the. There's a lot of disturbing things in the movie, including pinball machines, Travis. But I think this one was the most disturbing for me. So anyway, she's been snatched up, slightly hungover after her big night of drinking, and is being used as the bait and a trap in the church.
Through the Crow, Eric sees that Sarah's in danger because he doesn't see her get abducted from the graveyard. So he sees that she's in danger, and he sprints away to go rescue her. And he goes inside this church. The Crow flies in there, but then is immediately sniped by one of those lieutenants. It goes by Grange. So there was Grange, Top Dollar, and Micah. They were kind of the last three that were leading this unit. And Grange, perched somewhere in the chapel, snipes the Crow. Oof. Now, as a viewer of the film, you're like, "Oh, that sucks. Got the bird." But what we eventually learn is that this damage wounding the Crow is going to affect Eric's ability to be invulnerable and invincible. And it's unclear if I don't think he realizes that until a little bit later when he takes a bullet or so. But
so he takes the injury. Now, again, this amazing happenstance just so happens Ernie Hudson's character is rolling by the church for some reason. They do give him a line to justify why he's there. I can't remember what it is because it was stupid. But anyway, he was there for a reason. But he comes in blazing, bam, bam, bam. He takes out the lieutenant of Top Dollar who had sort of sniped the Crow. Now, after the Crow got injured, Micah, the weird, creepy half sister, grabs this Crow and sort of Quasimodo's it up towards the bell tower as Top Dollar has run away with Sarah. This when I'm describing it just sounds so cheesy, but I love it. I don't care. It's so good in the scene. And so Ernie Hudson's taken him out, but Eric Draven has sustained an injury and he realizes, oh man, this is for real. Like I've been depowered by the Crow getting hurt. So he's about halfway up the bell tower to try to go save Sarah when he comes across Micah, who's got the Crow and she's got like a knife on it or something. Like I'm gonna why she didn't just stab it. Like there's that weird like cat and mouse I've got to taunt you thing, which is just typical supervillain, typical villain, very Bond villain-esque, and it's just there because it's got to be.
And she's kind of witchy. It's like maybe she's trying to absorb its powers or something like that. I don't know. Like she saw that as the source of his power, so she's like, maybe I can harness it, and I don't have to keep eating eyeballs out of a flaming goblet. I can just have bird magic. But that obviously doesn't work out. And thankfully, Ernie Hudson's character was in the neighborhood looking for drunk girls and shows up because he's able to help Eric in the situation. Now that Eric's down, he's got some cover. The bird, though, at this moment just goes off on Micah's face, just pecks her eyes completely out, which is almost a callback to the fact that she eats eyes. It's like, how dare you just eat eyes? Why don't you just not have any if you're going to be like that?
Yeah. Which I do want to throw this out there. Flaming eyeballs in a goblet, totally paleo. I know that's a trendy diet right now, so just making sure everybody's aware. Yeah,
it counts. Huh? Okay, good.
Yeah, and it's only like 8 points on Weight Watchers. So that's
not bad.
That's not bad.
Is that built into the app? Like eyeball is like pre-entered.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you just scan the barcode when you go to the eyeball store. It just puts it right into the app.
Well, Micah not having her eyes causes her to fall from the stairs to her death, and fall to her death like many a folk do in this movie.
Yep, that's number 3 if you're counting. And so Eric proceeds upwards, and of course we're going to have the big climactic fight on the roof. And one of my favorite things happens in this. He has a sword. Of course, Top Dollar has a sword.
Yeah.
And so he it's that I guess this obviously predates The Dark Knight, but the Crow goes, Top Dollar has Sarah held hostage, and the Crow goes, hey, let her go, and he goes, okay, and throws her off the roof. Just like the Joker did in The Dark Knight. And so she kind of grabs onto the roof, and she's kind of hanging there, and we get some suspense there. But Eric Draven, aka the Crow, aka Bird Magic Man, rips the lightning rod as lightning's hit it off of the roof and starts sword fighting with the lightning rod. And I don't care what you say, Travis, I heard you snickering when it happened. It's freaking awesome, and you know it.
I did think it was cool. That was a part of the movie where I was like, all right, this is over the top, but it's like perfect. It's like so perfect. I don't know if it would have been made better if when he goes to strike Top Dollar, if lightning hit it and he just fries him sort of mid, kind of like a He-Man, like through the power of, would have been great. But thankfully it didn't get that cheesy. They probably couldn't afford the special effects given the fire we saw at the beginning. But it was really cool, Kevin. I'll give you that. It was probably, if you take away Skank and the fact that little girl was drinking a beer and that one other part of the movie I said I liked, it's probably my 4th favorite part of the movie.
It's the 4th part. Okay. You gave yourself some padding in there with that 3rd one. I heard that. So they have this pretty epic sword fight. And Top Dollar does get the best of the Crow, or so we think. He stabs him right through the middle, and the Crow is sitting there, and he's a villain. Top Dollar's he's gotta taunt him a little bit. He's gotta let him know. This is where he divulges that, like, hey, I'm actually responsible. I told those guys to come to your apartment and kill you and kill your fiance. He divulges that
nothing happens in this town unless I make it happen, or something like that. Something really cool. I mean, I'm telling you, this is Top Dollar. He's a slick villain.
God, I felt like I was in the room with him for a second there. The way you said that was so good, Travis. It was really good.
Welcome.
So
Anytime.
the Crow then uses his super mind meld magic bird power to place his hands on Top Dollar's head and sends all of the pain and suffering that his fiancée Shelley went through for 30 hours, dumps it all into him at one time. And Top Dollar, I'm going to give you one guess, and you're only going to need the one to find out, to tell me what happens to Top Dollar, how he dies.
Whew. Well, falls off a roof.
There it is, buddy. You're so good at this.
God,
yeah.
I was nervous. I mean, I did watch the movie and I knew the answer, but you made me think maybe it was going to be too easy, you know?
It's like one of those trick questions. What they do is they do up the ante a little bit, and Top Dollar falls and it gets impaled on a gargoyle, which then gushes blood out of its mouth, which is also awesome, Travis. Very good. So,
I mean, I think what I've learned about this movie is if you're going to be cheesy, go all the way. None of this half-step and stuff. I mean, you have to give me a lightning rod and a gargoyle. You have to give me all that stuff.
It was so epic. They literally, like, they were going so hard for the gothic aesthetic through this whole movie. They're like, well, you know what we should do? We should just do a fight scene in a gothic church at the end of this. That'll be the big fight scene. Works perfectly. Loved every second of it. And so, Eric, as you remember, Sarah's sort of dangling by her little Chuck Taylor's off the side of the roof.
That's
so,
right.
So he saves her. They go downstairs and they all.
I don't know if we mentioned that. When we say he chucked her off the roof, we forgot to mention that she hangs onto the ledge. I don't know if you brought that up.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did. Oh,
I did.
Thank God.
Yeah. If not, then like all the listeners right now are like, oh, he so didn't say that, and Travis was right. But if I did say it, they're like, oh, Travis was wrong, and he did say it. So this is really exciting. Like this is like a choose your own adventure.
Good chance I wasn't paying attention, but needless to say, she's now rescued after hanging off the ledge just hanging onto a wet gutter in the middle of a rainstorm off the side of a tall building. She could have become another building falling victim, but no, Eric is there. Thank goodness. Thank the bird magic.
Thank the bird magic. And I will say, I was watching this and I was like, that roof, the pitch of that roof is not so steep that she couldn't just climb back up. But we'll let that go. We'll let that go.
I mean, it was wet. I'll get that. And she's fucking hammered. She's smashed. I mean, we're lucky she was hanging on.
That is true. It's like in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like he can climb up like sheer rock faces, but you get like a small spattering of rain. He's like, nope, can't. Nope, impossible. Can't do it
too
now.
Too slick. Friction, whatnot.
So anyway, let's just say she's saved. Ernie Hudson, the Crow, and Sarah all sit downstairs and share kind of a moment before I guess it's her ghost. Shelley's ghost comes and reclaims Eric's soul at the grave, and there's a big dramatic sort of thing, and you get a little bit of closing narration from Sarah, and it kind of brings the film together. The film closes, and it says for Brandon and Eliza, so it was dedicated to Brandon Lee, and Eliza Hutton was his partner, of course, until he passed away. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much did I miss anything there towards the end?
No, I don't think so. And I will say, for this movie to be, I don't know, kind of what it is. I mean, I know it's based on a property, but it does have a nice bow on the end. Everybody that needed to die died, and everybody that you kind of wanted to live lived. You know, Sarah made it out okay, you suspect, and everything. So I think it ties itself really nice and neat at the end, which I appreciate.
You know, I will say one thing I noticed when we were going back and watching this is, like, if you want me to like a movie, if you put Ernie Hudson in it dealing with the undead, I'm probably going to like it, because
2 for 2.
Yeah,
3 for 3.
100%. Well, actually, batting 100% is not good. You're the sports guy, Travis. That's not good, right? You want to bat like higher than 100%.
I get. Well, I don't know if you can. I think batting a 300 is still just 30%. So I think Batting 100% is pretty good to me. If you were batting 100%, you could be on my team. How about
Okay. Well, that's really nice of you. Man, we should start a softball league. Well, maybe Uncle Doug will play with us, but
oh, God.
well, he'd at least hang out and drink our beer, so just like Sarah. So The Crow, now it originally had a budget of $23 million, and it went on to gross $94 million worldwide during its theatrical run. And of course, it's become, I mean, just one of the most iconic cult films of all time. I mean, you can show that image of Brandon Lee as the Crow to just about anybody, and they'll know what film it is, or they'll think it's Sting. And there were actually 3 sequels that were made, all of them, and a short-lived TV series, and they were all pretty awful. None of them are very good. I do think Kirsten Dunst was in one of them, and I'm just pulling that out of the gray matter. She may not have been. So if I'm wrong, again, the listeners are like, oh, God, Kevin's such an idiot. He's just making that stuff up, and Travis was totally right. So, you might have won that one, Travis.
Are you thinking of Interview with a Vampire? Maybe that was a prequel to The Crow. I mean, it kind of fits thematically. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, that's it. She didn't get cooked in the well, the little chamber there.
Man, there were 3 sequels to this? Yeah. Seriously? I did not know that there were even one. So the fact that there's 3, I'm blown away. I feel like I have to go watch them. Are they on Shudder or some similarly shoddy network where I can just binge?
Probably. There was I know there was like a early aughts one that was just, I tried to watch it and I made it like 15 minutes and it was a train wreck, but and you could just say that none of them really captured that magic of the original or even just managed to be watchable at all. Now there were also the comic book series either before and then they've done comics afterwards. There were video games that vary wildly in quality. I think we were talking about that before we started recording. One of the games that you had mentioned was pretty bad.
Yeah. That one's based on the City of Angels, which I guess I do recognize that title. I am seeing that The Crow Wicked Prayer, the last one, starred Edward Furlong and Tara Reid, two names that were hot back in 2005. So, man, that's incredible stuff.
Maybe that's what I was thinking. Maybe I was thinking Tara Reid as Kirsten Dunst. And wherever you are, Kirsten Dunst, I apologize for confusing.
I mean, if the Interview with the Vampire is to say anything, Kirsten Dunst can carry a rough movie. So.
She definitely can. So I guess above all, the sad legacy of the film was that production related death of Brandon Lee, who died and of that accidental firearm discharge on the set. But again, this is one of those movies that I feel really nostalgic about, and I really just love. I love it. I know I'm just like one of those reviews, man. I know it's not a great movie. I know it's kind of dumb. I know it's kind of cheesy, but by golly gee, my friend Trav, I sure do love it.
You do love it. Well, that's good, man. I mean, I'm going to admit, I liked it a little better than I thought.
Oh, okay.
I think some of the parts that people really send down the road with some of the really cheesy aspects of it were, and maybe it aged to an appropriateness to where it was still like, it made me warm inside because I remember the days. It was a warm nostalgia for the period of time where that was a cool thing. So I enjoyed it. And plus lightning rod fights and little girls getting hammered. It's super funny to me. All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Uncle Doug's DVD Bin. First and foremost, we want to thank Doug for wearing creepy face paint and staring us down for this entire recording. And if you enjoyed this podcast, you might like our other shows. For more of me, you can head over to polymedianetwork.com. You can check out the other shows there. We've got gaming, we got drinking, we got comedy, we got interviews, and more. And if you happen to like Kev, you can seek out the board gaming podcast Blue Peg, Pink Peg, BPPP as they call it. And while you're on polymedianetwork.com, you can visit our Patreon. If you like what we're doing, you can give a few bucks a month. It really helps us out, keeps the podcast on the network a-churning. You can join the Discord, hang out, and tell us when Kevin was wrong. Well, we want to thank our pal Harvest Black for our dope theme song. And just like our Uncle Doug always says,
it can't rain all the time.